Moon in Libra, Sun in Gemini, making a nice little grand air trine on the low due to Pluto being so close, you know what I'm saying, in Aquarius, but retrograde into Capricorn, but we know it's the outer planet and things of that nature. But what? Before we get into that, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B. You're watching DaveBeyondTV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And let's get back to astrology as a tool. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what we are breaking down here. Astrology as a tool that we can utilize in order to improve our life and you know what I'm saying, better, you know, put ourselves in better mind states and better positions in reality and things of that nature. You know, not just looking at the stars to you know, because it's very easy to use astrology to justify your human behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all. That's the habitual aspect of being down here in the third dimension. It's like, you know, we facing thoughts and feelings every day in a world that was constructed around us, filled with a whole bunch of different things that entice those thoughts and feelings. Everything is designed to, you know, make you emotionally aroused or think this way or think that way. You know, that's why everything, everywhere you turn around is advertisements. You know, you can't do anything. You can't watch anything. You can't listen to anything. Your children can't listen to anything. Can't watch anything without a million and one ads trying to influence in one way or another. So, you know, what ends up happening is we start to think this type of shit is normal, the enticing, and you know, it's just it gets very tricky because, you know, you add on something like, you know, all aspects of spirituality, you know what I'm saying, because spirituality has become a trend in that sense. And we're kind of in that phase where spirituality isn't so much of a, you know, right now it's kind of dying down as far as the super trendiness of it, but it's still very much like a pop culture, you know, conversation basically. You know, so you get a lot of individuals who, if they, because like it was a time before this, more so like 2021, 2022 type shit, where just spirituality was real trendy. Everything was kind of like a, you know, like a cliche and things of that nature. It's getting a lot better now. Or I don't say a lot better, but it's getting better now. Of course, you got real people like us on the internet and things like that. But for the most part, it's like, you know, it's still you know, it's still looking at astrology as a tool rather than a character trait. Because, see, that's where people get fucked up. They look at astrology as character traits where, you know, you as a spirit chose to play out certain traits through those energies. But by all means, you know what I'm saying, you can take anything and transmute it. It's just sometimes we get so wrapped up in our own self, and again, we get enticed by certain desires and things that we want to be seen or experienced in the way we want them to experience, in the way we want to experience them, that we forget that all of these things are to be used as tools. And even when we're in the process of manifesting, you know, a lot of us have very specific images in our mind of what we're manifesting, and you know, it's easy to again let that drive you. And it's like, even spirituality, astrology, all this shit isn't about manifesting. It's about experiencing. You know what I'm saying? It's about experiencing, and I'll leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? It's more so about experiencing than it is about getting something out of the experience. And I think that's where things get mixed up as well. It's like we get so wrapped up in trying to get something out of the experience because we're all on this, you know, a lot of us, see, it's like we all, well, you should establish a mission for yourself or a purpose, right? And, you know, if you've come to terms with your purpose, you've established your mission, and you're in that process, you know, you know, even that mind state can turn you into a, you know, a low key fiend for accomplishment or something that signifies movement. When, you know, again, sometimes it's more about the experience itself, not what we get out of the experience. As a, you know, when you beat a stage in a video game, and it's like you hit that screen, or you see your XP go up, you know what I'm saying, you see the bar for your experience to go up or something like that. You know, you see the reward you get for going through something and seemingly doing it correctly. and that feels good. So that feel good can become something that you end up chasing, something that you end up becoming obsessed with. Whenever you don't get that stimulation, you think you start to doubt yourself. You can allow insecurities to overtake you. You could become irritable. You can start to become toxic in other people's lives just due to you not understanding that, not being able to see beyond that kind of see that pitfall of thinking life is a video game in that way, where everything is about getting some out of something, and you turn, you know what I'm saying. And a lot of times when you live life that way, in so many subconscious way, you start to experience that in your actual life, meaning like you start to treat people that way, where your relationships only consist of the type of things you get from them, and that's confirmation of a good relationship versus the relationship being the experience itself, and you on that mission, on that journey. You know what I'm saying? I only got 10% left, so this is gonna be a shorter video. I might not get into all the transits. I'm gonna just talk until the cutout. But for the most part, so getting back on point and things of that nature, talking about, matter of fact, let's jump into the astrology, because that was just a segue, something to somewhat of a spiritual reminder, like, real shit. And I'll be reminding myself too, because it's like it's real shit that happens on a nuanced level. And I'm just grateful for the people in my life that keep me on point. And I hope to be the best me, so that be myself to the best degree, so that I can do that same thing for them. And I think that's part of what real love is like, being yourself. And then because I think that's what it really comes from. You know what I'm saying? Because unconditional love don't really exist outside of yourself. Like, you need to love yourself unconditionally. But at the same time, loving yourself don't mean just going along with what feels good. A lot of times, loving yourself is being real with the parts of you that's not that's not pretty. That's really 90% of it, because I think love is rooted in shadow work. You know what I'm saying? Through that shadow work, you know what to love about yourself. You work through certain things that you don't love about yourself, because anything you do, because everybody is aware on some degree of everybody's, not everybody is always self-aware in the way others are aware of them, but everybody is self-aware to a degree. So everybody know what they be doing. That's why we be saying spirits know what they do. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, there can be innocence there, where or you I don't say ignorance, but that's kind of what it can be, though. Not being aware of how that affects its specific aspect or angle. But at the same time, it's like, at least at this stage and things of that nature. Like I look at things like this. If you're watching this video now, you're at a certain space of awareness, and even if what I'm saying is something you're still in the process of working on, you're aware enough to know yourself to that degree. Not everybody know themselves, and not everybody is aware where they can make that type of connection. That's that a lot of times the issue. And this might be people in your life who aren't hip to who aren't on a spiritual journey like you might be. But even then, you know what I'm saying, it's like even though those people, though, they somewhat aware of what they do, but sometimes you got to be the representation of speaking to them and getting them right. You know what I'm saying? And this is why, again, this is where I say that love is that. Love is being yourself, because you as an individual, right? It's not about trying to change them or guilt them or shame them, but by you being yourself, that's the ultimate form of love. Because when you get around other individuals, when they see you, when they speak to you, you being yourself to that degree, you reverberate a certain energy that again, that goes on to them to either make them better, to see themselves. Well, I won't say make them better, but see themselves. You know what I'm saying? You being your best self, it makes other people see themselves. And, you're either going to inspire them, or you're going to, at the end of the day, even if it's a negative reaction, that's inspiration on some level. It's a person getting frustrated or trying to hate on you is really them being inspired by you, but not knowing how to deal with it, not knowing how to come to grips with the fact that, damn, like, this person is right. They're hitting it on the head, but I can't let them, because again, that can come with a lot of ego hurting aspects too, you know what I'm saying, that could really damage an individual or make an individual just very conscious and very uncomfortable about who they are and where they at. And it's like, unfortunately, that's what happens, you know what I'm saying. But at the same time, I don't, we don't want, like I said before, it's about, hopefully you don't, again, don't get stuck in that cycle, you know what I'm saying, because that's how hating starts. Hating just comes from you not doing what you want to do and you seeing somebody else do it. So, but anyway, getting back to this energy and the moon. So the moon right now is in Libra, right? Early degrees Libra. And like I was saying, it's creating this grand air trine. So, communication already been the name of the game, but right now it's taking a certain role in which it can be very key for what you are putting together for yourself. Again, know where the planet's at. It's like knowing yourself, you know yourself, and then when you know where the transit is at, you're able to move accordingly. You're able to use this as a tool in order to go through the experience. And again, it's not about what you get out, but it's more so about, it might help more so if you look at what you choose to put in, because that's a less selfish way, and that's like a less kind of demonic way to look at things. When you always looking at what you're gonna get out, you treat people like that. You look at people, you size them up, you judge them, versus looking at what you can put in. This turns you into a more generous person, and you start to open yourself up to more blessings and opportunities just based upon your mindset being on what you're able to contribute. And you know what I'm saying, again, you also look at what your responsibility is in certain situations, and what what you are accountable for. And that's the type of energy that starts to earn or that starts to put you in a better space, just based on again, that's a space that God can align with. God can't really align with you always trying to get something out of things, you always trying to take something. God can't really align with you manipulating or, again, wanting things to come a certain way, expecting, God can't work with that. God can't work with desperation. And a lot of times we want what we want so bad, we're desperate for it. So we become very conniving and very, it gets very dangerous. God can't work with too much ego and too much, because the ego comes with a certain, again, it's like the ego is like a brick. If the goal is to be light as a feather, right? The ego is like a brick. You look at the light of the feather analogy as like the Libra seventh house. Ironic we talking about that. I mean, I guess not. I guess it's on point. And then the opposite sign of that is the Aries, which is the exaltation of the sun, which is, and not to say Aries are egotistical. It's to say that the energy itself is what it means to be over the, what I'm saying, it's like the energy itself, it just plays out as how, again, what goes against light as a feather is the ego in an exalted state. Not to say the ego is evil and all that shit. No, you need your individuality, you need your ability to shine and separate from everything else to establish your light that you emit. Not that you are the light, it's just the light that you emit to identify that. But at the same time, don't let that overtake the balance. You know what I'm saying? So even here, we can look at that as, so the moon being, okay, let's look at the moon in Libra, right? Reacting and responding to our relationships, ways of relating, and or balance in our life, or what we lack balance. So the 9 times out of 10, in this everybody in different situations. So you might be a different individual who's in a space where you are not feeling balanced, you're not feeling you're feeling imbalance, you're reacting or responding to that. Now what we need to utilize to get that balance is Gemini, right? So that's a gift, because it both deals with forms of communication and or thinking, what I'm saying. So there's a so the key to kind of get into that is going to be through conversation. However, it has its negative sides. It could go too far as being scattered, being not really have anything to ground the conversation. Because remember that all this Taurus, there's still a lot of energy in Taurus. So that's helping as far as making certain things that we're talking about real. But for the most part, you might get you might get too giddy, you might say a little too much, you might get too excited with the air energy, you might let out too much air, that you either can't back up in reality, or that leads to you feeling, somewhat exposed when the moon goes into Scorpio. You know what I'm saying? You might feel like you said a little too much just based on that energy, because anytime the moon is in Libra, that's like almost like it's easy to get, kind of like drunk at a bar type energy, where all of a sudden you just start talking, and before you know it, you done spilled a whole saying a whole essay on something that nobody really asked for. People just was asking some other question, but you done got you got taken off. And see, when the moon slides into Scorpio, it's always like, wait a minute, what did I say yesterday? I said what when I was drunk? I called who when I was drunk? Type energy. And it's like, what I'm saying? But for the most part, this is good. This is energy that you want to use for kind of just having conversations that can lead to balance. If you're in a good space, you've been planting good seeds, this is the energy that you can utilize to either create more balance, or to do maintenance on your relationships. Our relationships need maintenance. Now the moon is going to be squaring the relationship sign, or it also is ruler, which is Cancer. So again, this is frustration when it comes to what we want to be, what we consider comfortable, and what we need in order to create balance. So there needs to be a sacrifice, or I won't say a sacrifice, because that's more of an opposition energy, but there needs to be a willingness to learn how you can work on your relationship and improve it. But that's going to lead to it's going to lead to you needing to learn how to get out of your comfort zone, basically, because that's what the moon needs. That it needs you to get out of your comfort zone in order to have the proper conversations that are going to lead to balance. Or in a way, the moon, what I'm saying, and that's kind of where the frustration comes, because you're going to want to feel, again, your style of relating, you're going to be rooted and comfortable in that, and that might be an emotional tie to that can keep you. But again, emotionally, as far as what you're reacting and responding to today, is gonna be your relationship. So you're gonna be like, wait a minute, I need to balance this out, or this is starting to feel, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna be paying attention to that. So the key to that is gonna be needing to initiate more conversations that lead to that, and then again, keeping it light still. Getting out of your feelings enough in order for you to be willing to initiate a new conversation, a new way of thinking, and a new way of communicating with your, in that's just what Libra energy is, but a new way of dealing with your relationships as well. That might not look like the most comfortable thing to do at the moment. You know what I'm saying? So, that's just something we might have to that we're going to have to come to grips with based on that energy. Moon squaring Venus, having to get out of that. Now, the moon is also going to be, sextiling Mars. So opportunities, yeah, because Mars is in Leo. But see, the thing is, moon sextile in Leo is going to be opportunities for your passions to become more relatable, or for, based upon how you set the stage, you can open the door for other individuals to maybe want to relate, or you can find ways in order for you to relate your passions, and through that relating of your passions, you can open the door for better things, better outcomes, just based upon basically teamwork makes the dream work. And again, this grand air trine with Pluto, it's like the conversations you have, you reacting to your relationships, you reacting to your relationships with Libra, the sun, Gemini, actually doing the work to be mutable within these conversations and adapt to yours and other people's ways of communicating, can actually benefit your status in the ways in which you're transforming it in order to have better leverage and authority within your network. And authority not over others, but you have your own authority, and people respect what you do. They see what you do, and they want to be associated with you, and also can see how you contribute to the community as well. So you become a pillar, and it's not like you somebody who just here to take everything and leave. You actually somebody that contributes. So you receive kind of some of the benefits of moving with that community and things of that nature. See, when you jump in communities and you're not really a part of it, you just show up whenever there's something to take. You know what I'm saying, but you don't really engage. You kind of lose some of the more the benefits of that community. You know, you might get the small perks, but there's other perks, the real perks, as far as teamwork, making the dream work, and influence, and actually people assisting and want to help you build within a community. You know, when you just in a community for the perks, people can tell. When you not really contributing to the community, people can tell. You know, and it's like those individuals have their place within the community, but you don't really get everything out of it as you can, and it's all depending on what you want out of life type shit. But that's not the point. So moon is also going to be opposite Chiron. So moon opposite Chiron, this is more of like a give and take, because see, it's going to make it's going to make all your mistakes raw. You know what I'm saying? You kind of looking at it, and you're highly uncomfortable with it. So the moon opposite Chiron, and Chiron being in Aries, again, this is also talking about reminiscences of your passions and things of that nature, as far as mistakes that you've made, right? Mistakes that you made when you were too selfish, so you could be reflecting on those types of things, and it can actually help you to bring balance to your own way of relating, and see the ways in which, okay, all of these actions left me alone, you know what I'm saying, or these reactions to certain things left me all alone, so maybe I need to change my reactions. And again, moon is in a cardinal air sign, so this is great for when you're dealing with certain emotions, especially if you've been planting bad seeds, to change how you think. That's going to be the key, changing how you think, and then acting in a way in which you can adapt to other people's and incorporate your own new way of thinking into the conversation. And then what's that going to do is that's going to activate that Pluto energy to, again, this is part of that transformation. Now, the moon is going to be in conjunct all the energy in Taurus. So the North Node, misunderstanding how to relate to your spiritual path, or misunderstanding how your relationships can actually benefit you, or how you can uphold them while still pursuing your spiritual path. So you might misunderstand right now, your partnership, your relationship, or whatever, and how it can incorporate with your spiritual path, or maybe where it's imbalance, where an individual doesn't belong with you and they actually take you away from your spiritual path. It could also be moon. It's also moon in conjunct Mercury, so not even knowing how to misunderstand and how to think about your relationship or way of relating, and try not to think too hard about that. But the benefit is they're both energies in Taurus, so being that they share a common sign, Venus, they it's not a harsh in conjunction. It's one that you just have to take a little time to understand, to work through. You might misunderstand kind of how to communicate, or misunderstand how to communicate your feelings within the relationship. So you just might misunderstand that aspect of how to communicate or convey your feelings, or how to convey practicality, because Mercury is in Taurus. So you might just misunderstand how to, like, what to say to make sense within your relationships, what I'm saying, based upon what you actually doing in reality. But there's a lot of earth and air in the sky, so it's helping with your ability to make sense with certain things, if you are aware and actually utilizing the energy as you're supposed to. Now, with the moon also in conjunct Uranus, misunderstanding how to go about these changes, or misunderstanding how we feel about the changes. So again, all the changes going on, you're not going to be comfortable with the ways in which you are going to have to change your thinking. You're not going to be comfortable in the ways you might have to go about gaining some balance. But for the most part, stick it in there. I said, stick it in there. Stay in there, man. Stay in there. Like, look. Hey, look. I'm just, what I'm saying, moon not in Scorpio yet. I'm saying, just hold it down, because for the most part, these changes are key. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, change is inevitable. Change is key. Change is very important. And we've been going through so many of these different transits that's just preparing us for or helping us along this shift. You know what I'm saying? Or, it's hard, hey, it might not be helping everybody, but as we go through this shift, we're doing some very strong changes that, we're incorporating a lot of deep changes to ourselves, you know what I'm saying? So, at the end of all this, it is leading to us knowing how to come together better, or that's how it should be. You being the best you can be, so that that when we all come together better, that when we all come together, it's a power beyond belief, just based upon all the shadow work we've done on our own, but now actually coming together and doing just doing real magic, doing real stuff, real spirits doing real shit together. But that's the motto. But for the most part, the moon is also going to be so misunderstanding how to communicate about or the practical aspects of things within your relationships, misunderstanding how to feel about these changes. Don't think and feel about the changes. You really just got to do them and put them into place. You know what I'm saying? Like the thinking and feeling should just be associated with what you're choosing to do. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's like Saturn and Pisces reminding you, like, when it comes to any thought and feeling you having, if you're not utilizing it, then it's really just a waste of your time. It's a restriction on you. It's keeping you from doing something more potent, more important. You know what I'm saying? So try not to get too caught up with that. Now, speaking of Saturn and Pisces, it's also in conjuncting the moon. So misunderstanding how to feel about reality. And we just coming off that opposition with Virgo with Saturn. So, we might be real, it might be real hard to know what to do in reality, or what to realistically take care of in order to actually achieve what it is that you're trying to achieve. Now, Saturn being in Pisces, that's how we're trying to build reality right now. So, we might find it difficult. To see the common ground, or know exactly where we should where we might find it difficult to know how to feel about it. You know what I'm saying? So there might be certain illusions in the way we see reality that we are coming into grips with, as far as emotionally, due to the inconjunction. It's like we misunderstand those things, but that misunderstanding can help you, because it can show you where something don't make sense, and through that not making sense, you can start to put two and two together and say, wait a minute, I might need to look deeper into that. Oh, I'm glad I looked deeper into that. It was actually an illusion. And that's the reason I didn't quite understand, or it didn't quite, again, it confused me, because confusion kind of opens the door for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute, it helps you go deeper into something. And once you can iron it out, then you know what's going on. You're like, okay, that's what that was. So the misunderstanding between, and then also with Neptune. So misunderstanding your imagination in general, the illusion you set for yourself. So, this could, again, delusions can be used to your benefit, but at the same time, we need to make sure we're not getting lost in them. Now, if we're using a delusion, we know what it is, and it's not just a random one. It's something that we put out and we're using for creativity, aka, even if you're delusional about your success or your ability to achieve success, right? This is you believing in yourself to that degree. Now, again, keep the anchor. What is the point of all that? Oh, this is just to keep me creative and ideas, thoughts, and feelings that I can utilize to keep me motivated along my path. Utilizing thoughts and feelings, right? The delusional space you in gives you thoughts and feelings of you actually being able to do what it is that you do. And those thoughts and feelings, you use them to actually do what you want to do in reality. That's how you use those thoughts and feelings, or use it to your benefit, not the other way where, again, you have an imagination about a certain relationship or a way of relating, and you allow that illusion to drive you to do things due to what you could get out of it, the desire of it, the desire of the outcome, the ideal, that imagination is so now you've let the delusion get out of hand, and you really believe these things, and it drives you to move and act in certain ways that aren't true to you, based upon you just trying to get something out of that, or you thinking thing is one way and it's not that way. You know what I'm saying? But you only think, you're only acting the way you're acting because you think it's one way, and you think that's what it's going to take in order to get what you want out of it. Not being yourself, creating a delusion, but keeping an anchor and focus to know who you are and what you're doing with this thing, and keeping the distance between you and the desire. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep a desire at arm's length, because when you start to get too close and you start to think you are the desire, or you start to think the desire is attached to you, again, it's some scary things an individual will do for a desire, and not even know it until it all falls down. And it always falls down when it comes to a desire and things of that nature, because it's 9 times out of 10 constructed, not so much something, there's a difference between those desires. It's constructed. It was something that enticed you, so it brought you out of your space to get to its space. It enticed you. That's why we say don't chase the money, let the money follow you. You know what I'm saying? Be the source, and then things will come to you. And when you bring things to you as a powerful spirit, this is a healthier way of even having even manifesting, because again, you didn't come out of your